Well, there we go. And we are live. Thank you for stopping by IndieDave's Indie Hour. We're here with the creator of the Bulletproof Ghost. What's your name?
My pen name is Jake DH. My real name's Jake Harris, but that's a guy on Deadliest Catch, so I didn't want to get in a Google war with that. So,
All right, and tell us a little bit about your project.
okay, so I'm currently running an Indiegogo to help fund art for a comic book that's based off of my novel series. One second. Can they see me in the video?
Now I can't.
Oh, sorry. I didn't even think about it. Right, here we go. Sorry.
All right.
So I have a novel series called The Bulletproof Ghost. This is the first book in the series called Prototypes.
All right.
And I'm trying to convert that into a comic book. Originally project was going to be a comic book, but I tried to do a Kickstarter in 2012, and it didn't get all the funding I needed. And with Kickstarter, if you don't get your goal, you don't get anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then shortly after that, I was laid off from my job, and so that put that on the back burner for a while. But towards the end of 2013, I started writing. I tried another Kickstarter that did worse than the first one, but I didn't really have my heart in it, and I just decided to turn it into a novel series. So I wrote 2 books in the course of a few years, and it's kind of taken off a bit. I'm not living off of it necessarily, but I sell really well at conventions, and I've been getting a lot of really good feedback, and I decided to try to get it funded again through Indiegogo. So at least this time, whatever I get, whatever I raise, I'll actually get. So I can get some pages done and then maybe run a supplementary one if I don't hit the goal.
Okay. Do you have an artist already, or?
There's a website run by Eugenio Perez called octographics.net, and that's what I've been using. I like their art. I try to get someone local for a bit. I went to some comic creator events in Evansville and talked to some people, but they either didn't want to commit to an entire book or thought they were going to be working for a bigger comic book publisher in the near future and didn't want to get tied up in it. So I eventually moved on to the internet to try to find someone to do that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Do you want me to go through what the comic's about?
Yeah, actually,
that's
here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and screen
right.
share,
Okay.
and I got your Indiegogo called up.
Okay. Cool.
So we'll do that. What the heck is going on here? All right, yeah, we're gonna do a screen share, and bam! Can you see it on your screen?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, that's my Twitter. Hold on. There we go. All right. So this week, this year, the Bulletproof Ghost, and this is some of the internal art here.
Yeah, that's some of the pencils. I couldn't figure out how to reshuffle them because some of the newer art was done in the middle of the Indiegogo. The next image that is right there is going to be the official cover of it, the one that your mouse is hovering over.
All right.
And you just
There
click
we
it.
go.
There it
Right
goes.
there.
Yeah, there we go. That's what the official cover is going to look like, and it's adaptation of Prototype. So it's like part one of the novel, and it runs through basically the prologue and a good chunk of the first chapter. But the Bulletproof Ghost is about a boy named Kyle Richard who's constantly bullied by this other group of kids, and one day they take it too far and they accidentally kill the young teen. He's resurrected as a cybernetic killing machine by a person with a mysterious past and unknown motives, and Kyle's final test of the real world is to kill those who killed him. He has to decide to do what he's designed for or forge his own destiny and perhaps become something better.
Cool.
That's kind of the pitch that I go with at cons to sell the novels.
All right. Well, you got that. Like you read that off. You got that all memorized.
It's memorized. It wasn't something I wrote. It was just sort of like I had a synopsis in my head and it sucked, and then gradually it got better over the course of several book events and cons and whatnot.
Yeah, you kind of have to build your marketing.
Yeah.
No, it's good, and that's good because it shows people that I mean, you're serious about your work, and you know you're really into it. Let's see. There's another one. Let's
The story's
see.
close to my heart because I mean, what would become the Bulletproof Ghost is something that I kind of fiddled with in high school, like some of the outlines and story elements and whatnot, as a way to cope with my own bullying experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And what would I do if I had gotten that power, and how a lot of it would seem very petty if I were like a cybernetic killing machine or something like that. And uh, so that's something that Kyle has to struggle with. That like this is nothing now because he has all this power, and it would make him worse than they are if he went after them. So, but some twists and turns make things a little more interesting than a lot of people think going in.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm just going through some of the other pictures on
Yeah,
here. That's pretty neat. That's like some of the workups and things.
yeah, that's some of the concept art by Scott Lesh, who is my brother-in-law. He helped me create some of the character concepts because I kind of drew what the Bulletproof Ghost looked like and described it like through text, but I'm not very good at drawing myself, and it was
Mm-hmm.
very crude. So he took all those ideas and turned them into a character concept, which is what you see in like the various art whenever. No, that was four. That's a different prototype that
There's this one.
Kyle encounters. That's a synthetic prototype. I shortened it to synth in the book, which I
Mm-hmm.
swear came out before Fallout 4. I saw them using that term. I was like, damn it, guys, come on.
You know, it sucks because I had similar experiences. I was on my last live stream I did. I was talking about somebody he had come up with something and then somebody had used something similar. I was like, yeah, Ethan Van Sciver did that to me. Well, he didn't do it
Oh,
to me. Like he didn't do it to me personally.
yeah.
He's got Cyberfrog, and
Hmm.
one of the characters I'm working on is called Cyberlinks. And so, and then at first it's like, all right, that's not, that's not a big deal. But then it turns out, and he was talking to somebody else. It turns out that he created X-23, and when he created her, he named her Lynx.
Hmm.
And then he was like, you know what? I'm going to bring that character back, and I'm going to make it the way I wanted to, and I'm still going to call her Lynx. So I'm like, oh my god, now he's got Cyberfrog and Lynx, and my character is Cyberlynx. It's like the hardest part is now
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, now I'm gonna have to rename the character. But yeah, it's kind of funny when like the big name comes out with something, you're like, oh, they beat me to it.
Yeah.
This
At
one's
least at
pretty
least in
cool.
this instance I had it published before, or self-published before.
Yeah.
Um they dropped that which it's not that. I don't want to downplay myself, say that's not that original to abbreviate synthetic to synth, but
Yeah, I mean
I,
it's a
I
pretty
did it.
easy go to. All right,
And
is
that
this got
that piece of art there is the first piece of comic art for the 2012 Indiegogo.
all right, well that's
That's been
cool.
around for a while. Um, I didn't upload it on there, but somewhere on the my Jake DH writer Facebook, we actually took pictures of myself and friends laid out like that and pretending to use guns, and I photoshopped the blade on my arm and stuff to show the artist exactly how I wanted to lay it out. It looks hilarious because it's all photoshopped. And
That's pretty cool. All right, so how long have you been working on this? Like from concept, like original concept for your book to now? How long have you been working on
uh, I guess like 19ish years for the concept, and then the first versions of the comic book script I wrote were like in 2008 and 9, and then I didn't create the I guess the modern version of those scripts until like 2012 kind of. And even currently I've changed a lot of stuff, but like 2014 is when the first novel came out. So 2012 is probably like a good place as a cutoff, but even even back in like the early 2000s, I was working on what would become this. It's just the story is has been refined a lot because I didn't realize how story arcs worked or character development worked when I was a teenager. So there was a lot of journal entries and a lot of I don't know, like stereotypical stuff that um, just wasn't terribly original. And as I move forward as an adult, and we kind of, I guess they call it like the TV renaissance now. Like you have television shows that have like these overarching seasons.
Yeah.
So I kind of like each chapter of the book kind of works as a episode of a TV show that leads into each other. So that's so yeah, but I guess I've been working in seriously on it for about like 6 years or so.
All right. So, hey, avid comic reader, what's up? Yeah, we got an avid comic reader in the chat. If you got any questions, you're in the chat. Feel free to ask. Let's see. So you've been working on it seriously for about 6 years
Yeah.
since 2012. Is that how long you've been? You said the first book was published in 2014.
Yes.
So how long have you always wanted it to be a comic?
Yes. At least when by the time it was called the Bulletproof Ghost, that was when I started writing comic book scripts. I had a friend who like in I guess 2008 or so was like, "Hey, I'll draw the comic if you write it." So I wrote an entire arc, and it was very linear compared to the version of the story now.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, here's this kid, and here's the end of the arc where he's a cyborg, and um the he couldn't really do it like he was a decent enough artist, but he didn't have as much time as he thought, and we just kind of put it to the side. And excuse me, I got like a professional-ish job in like 2010, so I kind of put all that stuff to the side for a while until I realized how much I really didn't like the job. So I ended up trying to do the comic again because A, I believed it, and B, I kind of wanted to get out of that job, but eventually it relieved me of it. So um, and and then whenever I did the first Kickstarter, I wanted to do an entire graphic novel, like 6 issues of a comic book and a graphic novel, but that would be so much more costly. And Scott, the concept artist, said, "Why don't you just do one issue?" I'm like, "Well, if it's one issue, it'll just be this kid getting bullied, and that's not the first issue of the comic that I want to do." So I had to rewrite it to where you had like the cybernetic prototype fighting the synthetic prototype uh, in the beginning and having to tell the rest of the backstory later on. So I've gone through a lot of changes since the original concept.
All right. Let's see. Let's go over some of your tiers. Let's see. Let's see. There's your little right. All right. So for let's see, $1, you're getting the Hearty Thanks and your digital novels.
Yeah, both books in digital form, in PDF or EPUB form, depending on what you want.
Well, that's cool. You still get the novels. Let's see. Then you
And I
get
know a lot of $1 levels don't give you anything but like a thing in special thanks section. I want to give everybody something at least.
that's really cool. Yeah, especially in digital novels. That's actually a pretty neat thing, and it's already done. So it's something that's already nobody's got to really wait for it.
Yeah, and every level gets the digital novel. So
Oh, that's cool. All right. So let's see. There's your comic, your digital copy for $5. Let's see. So for $10, you get your signed copy. Let's see, and a button pin
for
for twelve
12,
dollars.
yeah.
Do you got that already drawn up, or?
Yeah. I don't have any inside. I have them out in the garage, but yeah, I have several button pin types. You can go to my Instagram. I have some of the newer ones up on there. I might design one specifically for the Indiegogo. Tomorrow I'll have some time. I'm gonna design some shirts and whatnot too, because the unique shirt at 25 is I've got all the assets to create that. I just have to do it and put it up on some of my tees tomorrow.
All right, so let's see. That's for $12. You get the pin. $25. You get a unique shirt. Like everybody gets a different shirt, or unique to the campaign.
It's specific for the Indiegogo. It'll probably have the some of that official cover cut apart, and it'll say I helped create the Bulletproof Ghost, and you have a little Indiegogo Starburst or something on there somewhere.
That's cool.
And then you can't really get that except through the Indiegogo. So,
all right, and $35 you get your signed framed cover. What is it? What is the framed cover?
It's a bigger print of the cover of the book, signed by myself. Several other people helped create the Bulletproof Ghost, including the first two editors and the concept artist, myself, obviously.
Right. Premium pack. What do you get with the premium pack?
I believe I should bring it up on my phone. I believe that you get a premium shirt, comic signed copy, digital.
You get the novels. You get the comic and website. Or you get thanks in the comics and website. You get the book one. You get the digital book one. You get the signed. And let's see, 3 more items.
Yeah, I believe there's a
T-shirt. Looks like.
Let me see.
Okay, you get the pin and the compilation novel.
I thought that had a little bit more on it, but I might have. Let me see. Oh no! There's you get the premium shirt in that one too.
Oh, okay.
In the description there, I might have not put it in the item section accidentally, but it's in the description. Yeah, the premium shirt is a 2-sided shirt that you get. It'll also say I helped create the Bulletproof Ghost. I have a version of it over here that doesn't have the Indiegogo stuff added to it, but I can at least show you what it'll look like. If my light doesn't go off. Sorry for the.
That's all right.
Yeah, the frontal. See, it says the Bulletproof Ghost on there, and it'll say I helped create the Bulletproof Ghost once I add it to it, and then the back will have that cover art on it. So you'll get that.
That's a pretty cool shirt too. I like the title too, Bulletproof Ghost. That's pretty catchy. I like that.
It took me a while to come up with it, but it's in the comic itself, it's just it's the name that the cacophony of the internet gave him after he made himself be known, and people took videos of him and sent it off to the nexus of the internet, and he couldn't stop all of them because he was trying to hack into them while they're sending them. It was just too many. So $75, and this is something I'm really happy that we're able to do, at least in theory. So we're doing a customized Funko Pop, and Scott, the concept artist, Scott Lesh, is working on carving out all the armor pieces right now. He showed me a few updates on that, but he's going to use epoxy to create a Funko Pop over the do-it-yourself Funko Pops. And we don't know if we're gonna scan each armor piece or just the entire thing, but apparently, supposedly, if you use an Xbox 360 Connect and a certain computer program, you can scan things in 3D and then print them out. So we'll probably do that for that. That's either that or make everyone from scratch. And I think I have one person who's already gotten this level so far. So. Or the $100 version, because
the $100. Okay, so I'm still looking at the 75. It still says 0 of 10.
Oh, maybe he did the other one. Maybe I think there might be a second 100. Sorry, I take
there's the other second. There's the other 100. Yeah, maybe
somebody did 100 on it. Maybe they did a different level. I don't know. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. See, I don't know that much about Funko Pops. I didn't realize they have like blank ones that you could put your own stuff
Yes, they have male and female do-it-yourselfs, so you can build your own. They actually like encourage customization and stuff like that.
That is a neat idea.
I went to Louisville SuperCon, and there was a booth that had a bunch of like less prevalent Funko Pops. Some of them I hadn't even seen before, and they had customized ones, like a section just for where the guy customizes them. If I can talk, customizes them.
We got a avid comic reader on site right now in the chat, and he says, "Holy cow, he's right. You could turn an Xbox Connect into a 3D scanner."
Yeah, I've heard that from a friend of mine who builds droids, who pals around with the 501st in the Indiana, Kentucky area.
Oh, neat.
And he was like, "No, you can totally do that." Because I was racking my brain, how do we do this without building every single one individually? Because I didn't want to ask Scott to do that, even though he seemed to be pretty willing. But I was like, "That's awful. I can't have you build like up to like 20 of these if
I
people
can't
want
imagine
it."
that probably eat up into all your money too.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with the time because I think he can get the epoxy pretty cheap. According to him, he didn't give me an exact price, but just knowing somebody who has a 3D printer, I could just have him help me. So
you know somebody who has one?
Yeah, the person who does the droid building. I don't want to speak for him because he hasn't promised it to me, but I think if I threw a few bones his way for use of it, he might be okay with something small like that if he has the time. If not, I know you can get some for like 150 for the size I need, and
it looks like all you'll need to make is 20, right?
Huh?
Looks like all you'll need to make really is 20.
Yeah, I didn't want to have like an infinite number. Not that I.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can't.
But you never know.
Yeah. Let's see. The other $100 tier is the bookworm. What do you get with that?
You get I finally got up. I believe you get every single thing. You get the comic book. Oops. You get the comic book like all the other levels, but you also get both novels. I have a compilation version of the novel that's both books in one, and all the digital versions of the current books that I have, including 2 of the short stories that I've created. And sorry, I accidentally clicked on something on here. There we go. And every single version of every digital book I put out from now until forever, you get. Oh, and the audiobooks, which I have not gotten things worked out on that yet, but I should have an audio version of both books out this year. I just had to work out whether I'm going to have someone else record it or if I'm going to record my own narration.
Do you have volume turned up somewhere? Because we're still getting a kind of a weird echo. Do you have headset by chance?
I don't. My last one was kind of fell apart. Let me see. I could go get earphones and just stick one in my ear.
Yeah, because I think we're getting a little bit of an echo going on. Is it yours?
Really quick.
Hold on, it might be my wife's. Except that I'm not hearing it because there's nothing. Yeah, we're working on our technical difficulties. All right. All right, so we got Avid. Let's see. I got headset on Avid. My wife's got earpiece on. I've got all my volumes turned down. I tend to boomer this thing usually.
All right, there we go.
Sound on that one. We're checking all of our devices, make sure all our sounds are down.
Okay.
All right. You good? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I don't hear echo anymore.
Hooray.
All right. I guess that works. Sound good to you, Avid? All right. Where were we?
Oh, real quick, I heard your "Hey Listen" in the background. This is Breath of the Wild headset.
Okay. Yeah, my one of our phones, the thing is what is it? One of our phones, her notification is the yeah, her notification is the Zelda thing.
um, oh,
Actually,
I
my
apologize.
phone's got that too. Anyway,
I
go ahead.
apologize. The $200 ebook fanatic is all future digital books. So you
Oh,
just get
okay.
everything that I've written in physical and digital form. Oh, and also in the bookworm, you get my first edition of my first novel, which there aren't a ton of those around. I only have a handful of those. Actually, I have one over here. Sorry, I keep getting up. Um, okay, so yeah, so here's the second edition, which looks uniform with the second book, which I don't have any of those around. They're all in the garage right now.
Oh, that's my phone.
But there's the first edition, which looks quite a bit different. So there, though the first edition has more typos and formatting issues that I had professionally fixed later on, it's just rare. So hopefully that's something people might want to get at some point.
Alrighty.
And then the $500 level, you actually get drawn into the comic book. Your likeness, your what you look like, it's drawn in as probably a background character in a flashback or a memory.
You got to make people pay extra to get killed in the book.
Maybe in a later issue there isn't a ton of places to let people get killed. That's not, honestly not a bad idea for a later one when I do a second issue, unless I can get enough through sales to fund it, but we'll see.
All right,
Um,
so that was the 200, the 500 drawn into the comic, right? 625. Okay, that's the same thing. Original art with your likeness.
that's a little different. That is, you get an original page drawn with yourself and the Bulletproof Ghost characters, either having them save you or maybe I give you like a kinetic blade, which is like that the blue glowing around his wrist blade is a kinetic energy that allows him to slice through things. Um, so maybe whatever you want yourself doing in the panel, it can be done. I just added the price of getting a completely original piece of art done to that level.
Okay,
So
that's
it's
perfect.
costly. It's costly, but that's
Oh, yeah,
it's really a unique thing that,
how many of those are you offering?
huh?
How many of each of those are you offering?
Infinite, because
Okay.
it pays for itself. So
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. $1,000 for $1,000. Tell me what you're getting.
you get everything in every other level. Um, except maybe the fun. I think actually also the Funko Pop. I think, and then in everything I put out forever. I say BPG, yeah, you get the Funko Pop. I say BPG, but really, if I do anything else, like I'm working on a fantasy novel right now called Deathless. If that gets picked up, you'll get everything in regards to that. So it like if Bulletproof Ghost becomes a comic book, or I guess even at the current funding level, it'll become part of a comic book no matter what. But let's say it gets picked up as a television series in the future. I converted part of the novel into a television script that's up on my website, bulletproofghost.com right now. I entered it into a contest. It didn't win, but as I refine it more and more and start looking for literary agents, which I'm doing right now, I might be able to get it maybe picked up in the future. Like I'm trying to be
You're
hopeful
not
here.
guaranteeing that.
Like no, I can't say that yes, Netflix or Hulu will pick up Bulletproof Ghost as a series or something. But if it did, you would get all the Blu-rays associated with that. You'd get all the merchandise associated with it, forever. So it may you may just end up getting a handful of books and comic books and stuff, but you may end up getting a hell of a lot more, depending on how the future uh, turns out.
All right, so that's cool. All righty, so tell me a little bit more about yourself. Let's see, how long you've been writing since high school?
Yeah, yeah. I've been writing on and off since high school, taking it seriously since 2014. I have a few other short stories out. One is a werewolf horror short story, and one is a sci-fi horror story that takes place in another dimension that actually was featured in the Midwestern Writers Guild anthology for 2017, and part of that werewolf story is going to be in the Midwest Writers Guild anthology for 2018. And actually, this month, I actually officially became the vice president of the Midwestern Writers Guild. So that's interesting
That's pretty
because I
cool.
didn't think I'd ever do that. Well, I joined it in early 2017 because I realized I needed to meet up with other authors and writers, and I just kept going and really became involved with all of their events and was really happy with the group and their leadership. Was only supposed to be in place for a year and then leave, and it's supposed to be a rotating thing, but they've been there for 3 years, and nobody seemed to want the vice president role, so I stepped in and did that for them, which is mostly like social media management, which works out great for me because that's something I've had a decent amount of experience with. I live in Evansville, Indiana, uh, which is I've lived in this area most of my life. I lived in Boonville. I don't know, no, depending on where everyone is, you don't know where that is, but you may not
I
know where
used,
Evansville is.
I used to live near Louisville,
Okay,
up
cool,
in
cool.
Kentucky.
So yeah, I was in Louisville for SuperCon. Um, so and I lived in Owensboro for like 5 years when my wife was going to school at Western Kentucky. So I've been in throughout Indiana and Kentucky on and off, but came back to kind of where I grew up later on, mostly because I had a job here, and now my wife has a job here, and um, it's just and now we will have a house soon. So we're just roots in here.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I don't know what else. I play video games in my free time when I can. I try to read, but usually when I have time to read, I end up writing. So that's just kind of sad. It makes me feel like a bad writer because I need to read more. But
I find it hard to manage to do both.
yeah,
To find time to do both.
yeah.
Uh,
I recently like read through new Dragon Ball Super manga. That's like the last thing I read. Um,
how long have you been into? Have you always been into comics? How long have you?
yeah, I remember having Batman and Spider-Man comics as a young kid, and then I remember uh, getting X-Men comics quite a bit when the '90s show was out. That really piqued my interest in comics, as well as the '90s Spider-Man show and Batman the Animated Series. So I just like scattered bought comics when I could. I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but they used to sell comic books at like grocery stores,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried to get one whenever I went there. I remember seeing a lot of like Venom and Carnage arcs on the shelves, and I was always like, "Ooh, look at this scary Spider-Man" as a kid,
I think I had
and
as a kid. I had two main comic book places. One of them was an actual comic book store, which eventually became Magic the Gathering. It basically took over the store, and then their comics were limited to like one little table.
aw,
And the other place I got, and by then I wasn't. By the time they got that far, I kind of saw it coming. By the time I got that far, I wasn't really collecting anymore.
mm-hmm.
But the other place was a newsstand. It was at the mall, and they sold magazines and newspapers and whatever, and they had a little section of comics, and that was my other comic book store. At one point, like this was in the '90s. At one point, my city, about 100,000 people, had three comic book stores.
Wow.
That was the peak of the big comic book thing in the '90s, and then it just all disappeared. Now I think there's one comic store in that city now. I don't live there anymore. It's up in New Hampshire.
Uh,
I think
we actually
there's one store left.
We actually have two right now, believe it or not. One of the stores is the first comic store I ever went to. It's called Comic Quest. I actually do events there sometimes, like selling my novels and whatnot. They have like new comic book day. I went in and made more money than I'd made still at any place because the table was free, and they're like, keep all your money. I was like, great,
Uh,
and promoted it, and like it was just a nonstop flow of people, and I wasn't sure how many people would be interested in a illustration-less novel, a non-graphic novel, but they seemed really receptive to it. Um,
I would think comic book fans, most of them would also be into sci-fi type stuff. So
yeah, yeah, and that turned out to be the case. The other place is a newer place called Secret Headquarters, and they start off as an arcade and gaming thing, but now they have comics. Not as many as Comic Quest. Comic Quest is like the whole like right side of the store is just new comics basically. Um, it's really cool place. Like I'm really glad it exists because um, I don't collect as much as I used to. I mostly because I don't have the room right now. When I move, I'm probably gonna try to start again. But my if I fill up another one of those boxes, my wife's gonna kill me.
oh yeah,
And I don't blame
I
her.
get the side eye every time. I My first comic book store was I was living in Vermont, and it was this little hole in the wall place, and they were just it wasn't all that well organized. I mean, I guess it was like somebody rented an office as an afterthought, a little retail space.
Hmm.
And I swear the guy that owned the place, the guy that ran it, was the old guy from Fraggle Rock. He was just this old man. I guess my guess was he was just this old guy that had been collecting comics for years and years and years. And I mean, he got new comics and stuff like that. But the first comic I ever bought to collect was Ninja Turtles #10, and it was at like I said, it was at this little hole in the wall shop.
That's
And
amazing.
it's not anything like you'd see a comic book store today, where it's all retailed out and all nice and stuff. All the comics were like just sitting in boxes, all everywhere, all over the store.
There was a it was a store that was in Owensboro for a blink of an eye when I moved there in like 2007 called I think it was called Fantasy Limited, and it was like that. When they were very close to closing that store up, it was just like they just nothing was organized. They just had boxes everywhere, and they had like Playboys in the middle of the store, like right like the last couple weeks that it was open. I was like, what's this? Are we selling porn? And they're like, I just gotta get rid of all these. I was like, wow, okay, that's this, that's crazy. The other store in Owensboro though, like moved and looks like originally it was kind of like in a warehouse. It was called Collectors Mall, and now it's called Big Bang, and it's in a different location. It's really nice. When I go to Owensboro, I always try to drop into Big Bang and get something from them because they were my comic store for like half a decade. So
Yeah, the store in our town where I live now is it's a small store, but they've been there for like 30 years, and they do actually really well for me. They're always nice. Excuse me. They know who I am when I walk in, and you know they always they do what they can to make sure everything gets ordered. They have issues the same thing as everyone else with Diamond or whatever, but they're
mhm,
always like, yeah, absolutely, whatever, and they have no problem getting whatever you need.
it's really cool.
All
Uh,
right.
but yeah, um let's see. I'm married to a wonderful woman who's in the other room looking at stuff on her phone while I take our bedroom to do this.
Not watching you
Um,
on your phone. On your phone.
what? No, she's just on her phone. I don't.
Oh, tell her we need more viewers.
Oh, is it just through Google Hangouts? I made her download that today so we could test it out on my phone, and it totally didn't work when we
No,
tried it on my
she's got to
phone.
go to YouTube and watch us on YouTube so our viewer count goes up.
Okay. Hey Sarah.
She doesn't have to do that.
She's like, what?
She's like, I see him every day. I don't need to see him on the computer too.
Oh, I was going to jokingly ask you to look at the YouTube channel this is on to make his live viewer count go up, but you said you didn't have to.
Oh, I'm sorry, your son peed the couch.
Oh no, our kid peed the couch.
Oh,
I heard the other laughing in the background.
Well, we got 2 dogs, and every once in a while we still have accidents. So
Yeah.
well, I got 3 kids
Well,
too, but they don't have so many accidents.
yeah. Well, I was gonna go move on to that. I have a 4-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter, and so that's And I used to have a really cool nerd cave, and now it's a nursery.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's okay. When we move, I'll have a cool place again.
Yeah, I got 2 teenagers and a 6-year-old.
Oh.
So there's that big difference.
Oh, give it time. He'll be a teenager at some point.
Oh yeah.
I don't look forward to it because he's a handful now. In the most, I say that in the most loving way.
Absolutely. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna do the Indie Dave top 10. I'm gonna give you 10 questions. And
Okay.
you're gonna answer it. I'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Okay.
All right. What is the worst comic character that you could think of?
Ice Scream, who's
No.
a X-Men character who turns into ice cream.
Wrong. It's Squirrel Girl. I don't know.
Oh, it's Squirrel
Well,
Girl.
you're not doing too well already at the beginning. All right. Let's see. Favorite food.
My favorite, or your favorite?
Your favorite food.
My favorite food, probably nachos.
Wrong. It's Chinese. What's wrong with you?
Oh,
Good Lord.
That's my wife's favorite food.
All right. Who's your favorite character? And we'll play this for real now. Who's your favorite character?
Comic book character?
Sure. All right. You know what? Fictional character.
Oh,
you can just stick with comics. That's fine.
It's probably just Spider-Man. Like, I like the idea of a normal person. I know that's a stereotypical answer because everybody likes Spider-Man, Superman, and Batman, but Spider-Man's a normal person who was given this massive amount of power and kind of squandered it at first and paid a really horrible price and had to learn this really tough lesson about. I mean, again, it's really stereotypical. Great power comes with great responsibility, but still a really, I don't know, it's still a really moving story in my opinion. So
no, it's very relatable. That's why it's still a classic. There's a lot of it's the whole Marvel is the world outside your window.
Yeah,
that's really what it is. He was a kid that was suddenly given powers and now has to be try to be responsible with them.
He really wasn't at first. He was just like, I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna make money, guys.
Exactly.
And he's like, whoops, I sort of contributed to my father figure's death. So
all right. What are you reading right now for comics?
I was reading what was it? I was reading a bunch of Thanos stuff for a while. I think I was reading Infinity, but I think I finished it. I was using Marvel Unlimited just to burn through a lot of comics that I had fallen behind on. And my iPad accidentally got shattered because my son knocked a cat. Somehow it ended up on the floor, even though it was in a otter box. And my cash box was on the table, and it was teetering on the edge. I didn't know it, and my son was jumping around, and it just sort of fell on top of it. So I've got to get that fixed or a new one. But I was reading Infinity, and it's not comics technically, but Dragon Ball Super Volume 4. I just finished reading that.
Is that the only manga you're reading?
Huh?
Are you into manga?
Dragon Ball is usually the only manga that I read. I've been thinking about starting on One Punch Man because I watched the first season of that, an anime, and people have been telling me to check the manga out. I've always wanted to read Guyver, the manga, but I haven't seen it anywhere in the U.S. So I don't know if you know what Guyver is.
I think I've seen a cartoon or something. Not a cartoon.
There's 2 live action movies. The first one has Mark Hamill in it, and it's really goofy. And there's 2 anime series.
Yeah, I know for sure. I've seen Guyver. It was a long time ago though. I think that came out in the 90s.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I think I remember when that came out.
There was a mid 2000s anime based off of it, and that was really good. So it was like 25 episodes, but But I was also reading what was it? It was it Mighty Avengers? It was the Avengers that had Luke Cage on Earth when the Black Order showed up at the beginning and had Superior Spider-Man in it. I was reading that. I kind of was enjoying that.
All right. Good. All right. Let's see. What's your favorite? You watch a lot of TV?
Yeah, I watch a decent amount of TV.
I was gonna ask you what your favorite TV show is, but I know a lot of people it's Netflix or Prime or YouTube. I know a lot of people don't watch that much TV anymore. So what's your favorite TV
show of all
show?
time?
All time, sure.
Probably between Star Trek: The Next Generation, The X-Files, and probably Dragon Ball Super Z. Probably like a three-way tie
That's the new
between
one.
those. Huh?
That's the new one, Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Super. I have a difficulty choosing between. I know a lot of people say Z is better, but I have trouble choosing between the two because Super is just really well paced and compared. And it's not Z's fault. I could go into like how one's an adaptation and one is straight from the author, but that's you don't need to get into that. And then Star Trek Next Generation was just my dad had was part of a video VHS cassette club.
Mm-hmm.
And got 2 episodes of VHS of Star Trek Next Generation and had them like all lined up. So if I was like sick from school, I'd watch those VHS tapes, and I just watched a lot of that, and I rewatch episodes on Netflix here and there. And I recently started watching Star Trek Discovery because I hadn't seen that yet. I like what I see so far in that. So,
All right. Let's see. What's your favorite? Let's say, what's your favorite band? What kind of music do you listen to generally?
I'm mixing up my music. I used to only listen to like hard rock and metal and whatnot. I still do. Like I'll still listen to like Trivium and All That Remains and Atreyu. I used to listen to a lot of old school Metallica. But recently I started getting a little bit into English version of like anime theme songs that they put on Spotify, and I don't know if you know what do they call it? Like chiptune music. Like they take like Game Boys and make like original music out of it. Like Roboctopus is a group that does that. It has some really interesting songs that sound like old school video game themes, but are just. I went to a concert called Little Sound Assembly at a place that just shut down recently called PG, and I had a friend invited me to it, and I didn't know what that was until a year ago, or a little more than a year ago, and I was like, this is really cool. I like hearing these video game sounds put to new uses, so that's interesting.
All right. Here's a big one. What is your favorite breakfast cereal?
Peanut Butter Crunch.
Peanut Butter Crunch.
Yeah,
Actually, I like Peanut Butter Crunch.
kind of big on peanut butter, or Cinnamon Toast Crunch maybe.
Yeah, I'm big in the house on chocolate, peanut butter, anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. Man, we covered almost everything. All right, so all right, we went over the books you like. What's some stuff that you absolutely don't like right now? Is there anything out there that you're like, oh man, I can't believe they're making this?
Oh,
For comics, TV shows, anything.
Let me see. I don't like stepping on other people's toes, but
I don't know. I've never seen that.
I know there's some things that I wasn't happy about. Nothing newer that springs to mind.
Okay, you're wrong. Your answer,
I'm
your answer's wrong.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to think, but I can't think.
Your
of
answer's wrong. The answer is
I hate.
Supergirl. I can't. You blew that question. I'm sorry. You blew it.
Oh, but I like some of Supergirl though. at least Brainiac 5 recently that I really
I think
like.
I've only ever watched the first season. I don't think I
The
got into the second season
the
at all.
first half of the first season is kind of hard to get through. It's like they didn't know what they wanted to do, and I don't know, like they couldn't get their footing. It was weird. But yeah, I enjoy the Flash more though. Like that's kind of they changed a lot of things from the comics, but I kind of like, I don't know, I kind of like the arcs of that show. So
Yeah, I did. I think I did get through 2 seasons of the Flash. That one's actually pretty good.
yeah, I like the Flash. I know there's something that came out that I really didn't like. I can't remember it. And maybe it was a long time ago. Like I could look at like something like Godzilla 98 or I don't know. The RoboCop remake was kind of, I know that was a while ago, but that was kind of
Yeah, that's kind of
weak.
iffy.
It wasn't like awful. Like I liked the idea that he started off with a human personality and then they made him more robotic to control him, but it still was kind of, I don't know, weird.
You can't really beat the original because
No.
it was cheesy in just the right way.
Yeah.
And it helped that they had the practical effects.
Yeah, and they knew
Webs instead of the CGI shooting.
Yeah, and they knew like here's just the right amount of satire. Like you take Alex Murphy's story seriously, but a lot of the world he exists in, you just kind of like, that's hilarious how over the top that is.
Yeah, exactly. I like that kind of over the top stuff. Alrighty, I'll tell you what. Why don't we do another rundown of your book, and then I think we'll call it a night.
Okay.
So tell us what the book is and what it's about.
The Bulletproof Ghost is about a boy named Kyle Richard who's constantly bullied by this other group of kids. And one day they take you too far. They accidentally kill the young teen. He's resurrected as a cybernetic killing machine by a person with a mysterious past and unknown motives, and Kyle's final test of the real world is to kill those who killed him. He has to decide to do what he's designed for, or forge his own destiny and perhaps become something better.
Sweet. Alrighty. So that's up on Indiegogo. We got 12 days left on that.
Yep.
So everybody go check that out. Yeah, we got to post it in the chat. We'll probably put it in. We'll try to remember to put it in the description when we're done here. We'll put that in the description. Make sure to follow you on Twitter. What are you at on Twitter?
I'm at the B Proof Ghost. If you go to my website, bulletproofghost.com, all my social media links are there, from Facebook to Instagram to Tumblr even. So,
alrighty. So, all right. So we'll go to your website, and thank you for coming on. The book looks really cool, and I hope everybody checks it out. And like I said, you get 12 days on that, and we really want to get you funded.
That'd be great.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. If anybody is still watching, maybe people will watch later. Thanks for tuning in. Try to catch me on Friday. We're going to be doing the IndieDave's Bad Idea Drunk Stream. And then on maybe Saturday or Sunday, we get an idea for something we want to try. It's going to be probably more alcohol involved, and we involve alcohol and clickbait. So, again, thanks for coming on, Jake, and good luck on your Indiegogo. Everybody, check it out, and y'all have a good night.
Bye.